Hello, everyone, and we're back. This is my series on big data. I'm Courtney, and today we'll be talking about Samsung Electronics. The case study was by Jordan I. Siegel and James Jinho Cheng. Okay, let's get right in. So, this case study was about Samsung's semiconductor business and their market position in the mid 2000s, the keys to future success, taking into consideration that China was aggressively getting into the semiconductor business. The focus on this case is the strategy and decisions Kun-hee Lee must make to keep Samsung competitive. Lee is the third son of Bai-Chul Lee, one of Samsung's original founders. He was an interesting leader. He became chairman in 1987 and is credited with making Samsung the recognizable global brand they are today. He reformed the corporate culture, which was based on traditional Korean values. Interestingly enough, he was entrenched in scandal and resigned in 2008 due to the misuse of funds. In a book written by one of Samsung's former legal chief counsels, he stole $8.9 billion from Samsung's subsidiaries, along with other allegations such as destroying evidence, government bribing, and abuse of power. Oh my. He came back to Samsung in 2010 and is currently the richest person in South Korea with a net worth of $12.6 billion. His only son, Jay, is currently waiting in the wings and has stepped up an increasing amount over the past several years as Lee is now 75 and having some health problems. Currently, Samsung is the largest conglomerate in South Korea. They employ people all over the world. Their core business sectors are electronics, finance, and trade and services. Samsung started in 1969 and they sold black and white TVs. This week, CNBC reported that there will be a likely $12.1 billion profit at the end of this fiscal quarter. So Samsung is doing pretty well. So this case focused on the electronic component of Samsung, specifically their memory chip industry, and specifically semiconductors. Other companies in the mid 2000s competing with Samsung making semiconductors is Elfida Memory, Hinks Semiconductor, Infineon Technologies AG, Micron Technology, Nanya Technology, and Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corp, SMIC, which is the Chinese competitor. So over the past 5 decades, the semiconductor industry has consistently grown in profits. In 2005, Samsung was seeing some stiff competition from Chinese companies aggressively entering the market. These companies were willing to drastically lower prices and take consistent losses just to start to gain more of a market share and get customers buying semiconductors from them. The Chinese really had no experience in creating these memory chips. Semiconductors have quite a complex way to produce them. They need to be very, very thin, and to be competitive with making them, it's most cost effective to make a very large thin sheet and then break it into many tiny little pieces. So the Chinese and the Chinese government did not really have any history or knowledge in engineering this technology, but they were able to produce older semiconductors using, I guess, older technology, and they were able to partner with other countries or companies in other countries. The US and Taiwan are not willing to share that proprietary intellectual knowledge with China. Another competitive edge that these Chinese companies were having was that they were well funded. They were able to go out and raise funds, as well the government was willing to subsidize infrastructure needs. This produced a lot of strategic challenges for Samsung. Historically, they invested heavily in research and development. They really mastered the creation of semiconductors, the process and the plants needed, and just moving ahead in technology in this industry. Um, so they now were at a point, and I mean, should they partner with the Chinese company Simkit? My takeaways from this article, I think that innovation has really proved to be an important factor in the success of the microchip uh, component of Samsung's business. To just produce something and keep producing something effectively is important, as well to have like a low cost, but there is always that fear of not really having the pulse of what the next best thing is. And I think the only way to do that is really to become um, more innovative and to have that research and development component. I would not partner with SMIC just because of the intellectual property component. I think there is a difference in how some of these companies are operating, and also the high government involvement. Um, so if they were to share something new and innovative, could they just be cut out the next day and then beaten by this Chinese company? It is important, again, to have a low cost, which is what they were kind of coming up against in 2005. But looking at Samsung today, and one of the, I guess, biggest stories in the past 2 years was their ineffective, defective Samsung Galaxy cell phone. So just to have like a renewed importance on quality, I think that's very important. The case study actually went into a little story where Lee, as chairman, had like a very important moment where he gathered up all items that he felt were defective and actually burned them somewhere on the Samsung campus to kind of symbolize that they would not accept the poor quality, and they had to just focus on a really good product. I think another, or my final point, was that due to the diversified business, that's also a really important, I think, thing with the Samsung Group's success. They're not really just reliant on one thing like the semiconductor industry, because China is, still competing with them in that respect in 2017. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.